What are the pros and cons of living in Morro Bay, California? Welcome back to my Morro Bay series. My name is Denise Strasbach, and I am a licensed real estate agent here in Morro Bay. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 pros and 5 cons of living in Morro Bay, California. We relocated to Morro Bay in 2018, and so these pros and cons are coming from my own personal experience. So let's get started. Okay, so for con number 1, let's talk about living in a tourist town. So I would say this is a slight con because it can be something that you have to think about when you want to go do stuff on the weekend, especially during busy season. So think about holidays or vacations like spring break, winter break, or even summertime. So there could be, things that you want to go do, but there are more people than you really want to deal with at that time. So you do have to have that on your mind. And also, some people, I haven't experienced this myself, but some people, when they choose a home to live in, they might not know that they're moving into a neighborhood that has a vacation rental next to them. So something very important, if that bothers you, to hear, um, you know, vacationers all night, or maybe seeing cars go in and out, or not knowing your next door neighbor because they're just vacationers. Or maybe you like that. Maybe you like meeting new people from around the world, and that's what you want to do. So, just a little research to make sure that you know what you're getting into before you pick your home. Now, the other thing is you got to make sure that when you're going out, maybe schedule it a little differently. Do you work weekdays and you're off on the weekends when maybe there's a lot of people out and about? Or do you have an off schedule? Or maybe you're retired, or maybe you have a flexible schedule. So just something to keep in mind, knowing what the tourist seasons are, different events that might bring a lot of people. And if you don't like being around people, this could be a con. So you just have to plan. For the first pro, the nice thing about living in Morro Bay, actually one of the best things, is the outdoor activities. So you have beautiful scenery everywhere you go. You have biking, hiking, walking trails, all different levels. You can walk near the water, you can walk up on the hills, you can walk up on the mountain. All this kind of thing is available to you. Bird watching, renting a kayak, sailboats, renting a boat. They even have, little boats that you can rent that you can bring your meal on, and you can go back and forth on the bay and listen to music. That's a lot of fun. And so there are tons of outdoor activities for you in Morro Bay, whether you're visiting or you live here. And one of the things when we first started living here is we started doing all of those things, and it kind of makes you feel like you're on vacation. It's like, wow, I can't believe that I live here. So it's so nice to be able to just walk out your front door and have so many different options for the outdoor activities. So for number 2 on the con list, I'm going to talk about fog. A lot of people might think Morro Bay and fog, that's all there is. Well, right now it is October when I'm filming this, and the first half of the month has been extremely foggy. And usually this is when our weather kind of changes in fall to a sunny, warmer type of weather. Well, it took a little longer this year, but we are now this week in that sunny portion of fall. So it's been pretty nice to come out of the fog. So there is a lot of fog during summertime. This is kind of just the norm for this coastal town. So if you don't like fog or long stretches of fog, then that would definitely be a con for you. Some people love fog. I personally really like fog. I don't necessarily love it when it just keeps going on and on and on and on and you never see the sun. You start to get a little sluggish. But luckily, you can go to Slow usually, or one of the other towns, and you can grab some sun if you're starting to feel a little down from being in the gray for too long. So that, I think, would be a con for some people who think of summertime and they want sunshine. That's not usually what you're going to get. Now, some years I have seen where, it'll be an off and on, and you just never know. You wake up and look out the window and see, okay, what kind of day is it going to be? And you might wake up to dense fog in the morning, and then it burns off and you have beautiful sunny skies. Some days it's back and forth all day long, and that's kind of exciting to me. This brings me to my second pro, which is the weather in Morro Bay. So this area has pretty mild weather. You don't have those extreme colds and extreme heat very often. On very slim occasion do we reach in the 90s. I think that's like maybe once a year. And usually it's when the winds shift and they're blowing in, or I guess blowing out from inland, that you might have those warm couple of days, even couple of evenings where it feels like somebody turned a heater on and turned the fan up and it's just blowing heat on you. But this only happens like maybe once a year. So it's very rare. And most of the year we're very mild, right? We don't get freezing temperatures. Every once in a while in December, January, we might get some tiny bit of frost on the rooftops, but nothing to kill anything off. I mean, never say never, but for the usual, we do have very mild weather. So that's a really nice pro, in my opinion. And for our third con, one thing that I noticed when we moved here is that there seems to be more off-leash dogs here than I'm used to. So we came from Santa Cruz County, and we actually lived in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So you'd think there would be a lot of off-leash dogs there, but I don't recall seeing them very often. But when we moved here, I saw more than I was used to. And if you have dogs, or maybe you're afraid of dogs and you see off-leash dogs, this might be something to watch out for. Now, on the flip side, the pro about dogs and Morro Bay is there are a lot of dog-friendly things that you can do. There's dog-friendly beaches, dog-friendly stores, dog-friendly hotels and Airbnbs and VRBOs and all those kinds of rental type things. So dogs are definitely a big part of this area. So if you're a dog person and you want to come visit, or you're looking to relocate, it's a great place. Just keep your eyes open for those off-leash dogs so you can be prepared in case they come towards you. Now, I will say I've never been attacked by an off-leash dog, knock on wood, but it is something that I'm always kind of looking out for. And it's not super heavy. It's not like they're just roaming the streets or anything like that. It's just, a couple more than I'm used to. So let's move on to number 4. So the fourth con is you can sometimes feel like you're on an island. Now, this may sound kind of like a pro, and it could in some situations, but at times you might feel sort of like you're stuck here in this little island. And while we do have many stores that you could go to get all the things that you need, sometimes you just want to run to Home Depot real quick and do something, and we don't have a Home Depot. So the big box stores and that kind of thing are not here. They're going to be in SLO. So if you're working on a project and you're like, oh shoot, I need this, and maybe Ace doesn't have it, it's something that you need to get from like a Home Depot or something like that, then you got, okay, I got to do a 20-minute drive to Home Depot, 20-minute drive back. It's going to take me 40 minutes. It'll be 20 minutes in store, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, this is something to consider, that sometimes even doctors, there are doctors here in Morro Bay and Los Osos, but some of the other, there's more doctors in SLO. There's more procedures that you'll be getting done in SLO. And so you do have to think about the fact that you are going to have to drive out 20 minutes to get to those appointments. And is it worth it to live on this little island called Morro Bay? And I think it is. But that can be a con for some people. Now, a pro for Morro Bay in that respect is that you are kind of on this little island, but it is a great community. There are very nice neighbors. Everybody's pretty friendly for the most part. And, everywhere you go, you can always stir up a conversation. People say hi and smile. And so that is a nice thing, especially if you have a routine, like walking the dog or taking walks. If you have a routine that's same as other neighbors and you run into them, it's always fun to stop and chat and, hear about the latest that's going on in their life, share a little bit about what's going in yours. So there is a great sense of community in this area. Even though it is a tourist town and there are plenty of visitors, you still do have that small town community feel. And not to mention, there are fun events that go on that maybe bring in a lot of people, but it's also fun to do with your neighbors. Things like we have like the light parade out on the bay during the winter time. There's the witch paddle, which is actually happening this weekend. and just a lot of other events that go on during the year that are fun to go out and hang out with your neighbors. And not to mention, in different towns nearby, they have a whole bunch of stuff too. So you're close enough to be able to pop over to those things as well, and just year round have something fun to do. And for the fifth con, this one is kind of tied to visitors, but it's parking and traffic. So parking and traffic, you might have trouble finding parking, and you might have a little bit of traffic in some situations. For example, we have the Rock, which is a very big draw for visitors. Of course, even I like to go there all the time. It's a really awesome place to visit. There's there's like two lanes that take you there. And what I've seen over the years is if you try to go there on the busy season, on a weekend, something like this, you're going to have a long line of traffic to get there. And so this is something that you'll want to think about and plan. So maybe go earlier in the morning, things like that. Or I don't know what it's like at sunset, because a lot of times I'm back at home during sunset. But maybe that's a good time to go out. I would say morning for sure. I know I've been out there in the morning on the weekends, and it is not nearly as bad as it might be, say, lunchtime or something like that. So same goes for parking, especially during the busy season and when there are events. So, there's some events that go on down by the water, and those things can fill up the parking pretty quickly. And so if you live in the neighborhood nearby, maybe walk or park up the hill and walk halfway, these kinds of things. And so it's not a killer, but it is something to be aware of for sure. And for that fifth pro, when it's not the busy season, and there's plenty of time that it's not a busy season, you can see that there is a very nice, quiet calm about the town. So a lot of things kind of close up early. And if you're just walking around during, the early evening or late afternoon, early morning, any time of the day, really, on a quiet season, you're going to see the difference between, what it's like when the visitors are here. It sounds so odd, the visitors, the visitors here. But anyway, so the pro on that flip side would be that it's very quiet during off season. So if you kind of just plan your seasons, and you know that once the busyness is gone, there is a very nice calm sense about the town, and you can walk around, you can park wherever you want, and there's no problem there at all. So it is definitely a great time to get out and about. And sometimes we might plan things like going on a walk after work at the peninsula. What am I trying to say? Over by Bayside Cafe, there's a boardwalk that you can walk on, and we do that walk quite a bit. And sometimes we skip it on the weekend because we know people are going to be lined up waiting to eat at Bayside, and they might be hitting that trail. And so we'll go on a Monday and there's barely anybody there, something like this. So basically, a little bit of planning and you're good to go. It really is one big pro after all, because you're living in such a beautiful place. I bet I'll think of more, so maybe I'll do another video like this. And I'd love to hear from you if you already live here, or you visit, or you've lived here before, or want to live here. If you have any other pros or cons that you can think of, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. So keep an eye out for more Morro Bay series. I'll be working on those along with other towns like Cambria, Cayucas, and Los Osos, and San Luis Obispo. So keep an eye on those, and if you're subscribed, you'll definitely be getting those updates as I work on these and get them uploaded for you. So I will link to my playlists, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.